What would you do if you saw a helicopter spiraling towards you? Well, I hope everyone here is having a great, wonderful day because it's time for another episode of Odd News Weekly, the show where we scour the internet for the best, oddest, strangest, weirdest, craziest news to give to you for your viewing pleasure. My name is Brick, your host, and this week we got crazy stories like Vladimir Putin's bodyguards carrying a poop suitcase, and you have to stay to the very end to see these real-life dollhouse apartments caught on video in China. So stick around, but with that being said, let's start with story number 1. We've seen lots of crazy crashes in the past, but this one specifically in Huntington Beach with a helicopter spiraling out of control was crazy because of all the multiple angles that was caught on video. And one of the most shocking ones came from this man who took a video as the helicopter was spiraling towards him. Let's take a look. Yikes, I mean, I could already sense the hopelessness that was coming through the screen. He was running away as quickly as possible to get away from whatever was going on, and I'm glad he got away safely. This catastrophe was probably caused by a bird or some kind of object hitting the tail rotor, making the helicopter spin out of control, and sending 5 people to the hospital with injuries. It's crazy to see just how many angles there were of this event, and it really helps to see a close-up of the rotor that really was the cause of the incident. But our prayers go out to everyone who was affected, those 5 injured in the hospital. And what do you think? Do you think you'd ever ride a helicopter again now that this has been captured in multiple angles? Let us know in the comments below. Which brings us to story number 2. Check out this body cam video of this huge iguana caught at someone's house. If you're even remotely scared of reptiles, I advise that you look away, because this monstrosity is large. Police helped a woman out at Daytona Beach when they saw this massive iguana in her home. And when I say massive, I mean gigantic. Have a look. That's a Komodo dragon. That's a crocodile at that point. That's a very large lizard. I mean, you might just have to call this guy to catch the lizards for you. But I'm actually really impressed with the homeowner with how she was able to keep her composure during this event, and with the police who were able to catch this creature in a very kind and gentle manner. Kudos to you, officers. But I hope that iguana goes back to where it belongs, out in the wild where it can be happy, and it won't be terrorizing people because that was straight up Godzilla. That was a large creature. But what do you think? Would you have a lizard as a pet? I know I had a lizard as a pet, but it took its own life, so let's not get into that. They don't do well in captivity, so you should know that before you have a lizard. R.I.P. Iggy, I miss you. But speaking of things I don't miss, Brazil is opening up the largest mosquito factory in the world. In this week's edition of What? We have Campinas, a city in Brazil, which is apparently trying to grow 200 million mosquitoes to maturity and set them into the wild. And why? Why is the first question that comes to my head. Because why would you do that? What in the mosquito version of Jurassic Park is this? But if you're already starting to cancel all your trips to Brazil in the future, don't worry. Let's get into the reason why they're actually doing this. It's actually part of a very well-documented process where the mosquitoes in this facility are infected with the Wolbachia bacteria, which prevents the dengue virus from developing in their bodies. And if you're not too familiar with the dengue virus or dengue fever is an infection or an illness with symptoms that are like a really bad case of the flu. And trust me, I had it when I was a kid. Apparently, I almost died. And you don't want it. So actually, these people in Brazil who are making 200 million mosquitoes, you're saving the world. Thank you. We appreciate your help. Just a crazy headline. Crazy headline. You had us in the first half, Brazil. But you really redeemed yourself, especially in my book. I don't ever want to have dengue fever ever again. But what do you think? Do you think breeding mosquitoes is a good thing, or do you think it's just way too icky? Well, let us know in the comments below. And by the way, since you're already there, might as well hit, like, subscribe, notification bell, maybe leave a nice comment. All these things really help us keep doing what we're doing here at Odd News Weekly. Gives us a motivation to keep putting out the best content we can for you guys because we care about you. But please, if you do enjoy the video, that would help us out. And it would mean the world to me. Thank you. And moving on to story number 4. This caviar is made from plants? We all know caviar is one of the most luxurious foods you can eat. Literally, rich people try to put it on everything they can imagine. It comes from the roe of a sturgeon, and apparently it has an exquisite taste. But this company, Zero, Zero, funny because roe, like from the fish, Zero, pretty smart, pretty witty, I like that. Okay, but anyway, this company is making it from seaweed, and they swear it tastes exactly like the real thing. One Google review even said, it tastes just like sturgeon caviar and pairs great with so many things. That's great to hear, and I'd love to taste it for myself. But here's the real question. Is it cheaper than actual sturgeon caviar? And the answer is no, it is not. Apparently, it's $42 or up to $120 if you buy the 300-gram can. And you know what? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, regular caviar is expensive because sturgeon may take decades to actually make those eggs. But seaweed? You can just get seaweed at the beach. That's like practically free. Plant-based, animal-based, whatever based it is. I still can't afford it. So, sorry about that. But Zero, you're getting $0 from me. So I can't afford it. But what do you think? Do you think this is better? Well, I think it reaches a very small market of people, which is the vegan and the rich. So, if you're vegan and you're rich, congratulations. This is great. I'm not the target market for this, but the rich vegans out there are having a blast. But speaking of something that's going too far, this prankster is getting jail time for pretending to inject people with a syringe. In another edition of pranksters taking things a little bit too far, take a look at this prankster going around pretending to inject people with a syringe. And yeah, everyone knows that could be very dangerous, but now he's sentenced to up to a year of prison. Because some of the victims said they were traumatized and were living through a nightmare thinking about if they actually had some kind of deadly virus injected into them. And that's a very valid concern. I certainly would be so worried that someone squirted AIDS into my bloodstream. Influencers everywhere have been doing things in the name of clout for years, but at least this guy seems like he might be owning up to his mistakes, saying he didn't think he could hurt people and that he was only thinking about himself. So I guess everything turned out alright, and hopefully people stop doing harmful things to other people just in the name of views on the internet. But what do you think? Do you think the sentence was too long or too short? Hopefully it stops future pranksters from doing evil things, but we can only hope. But since we're on the topic of crazy, we have story number 6. Did you know that whenever Putin leaves a country, his bodyguards have to carry a suitcase filled with his poo? Yes, you don't have to clean your ears out. You actually did hear that correctly. It actually has been reported that Vladimir Putin's bodyguards carry around a suitcase filled with his fecal matter whenever he has to leave the country. This was reported when Putin went to the Alaska summit, but this has been going on since probably around 2017, 8 years ago. And get this, the reason is even crazier. The Russian president is so careful about leaking information, he needs people to retrieve his doo-doo from the toilet so that nobody can infer anything about his health and current state that he's living in right now. Huh? That's crazy. Talk about covering your tracks. This guy is impossible to trace. I mean, this guy is so careful he's got someone to pick up his poop for him. But I mean, I think it's going a little bit too far. I mean, just imagine if your job was the presidential poop scooper. Not too fun. Not too fun. But what do you think? Do you think this is too much? Or do you think this is what it takes to be a president of a huge country? Well, it's a crazy headline if you ask me, and that job better pay well. That guy literally goes through a lot of shit in his job. But speaking of things that might not be worth it, this 9-gram feather just sold for $30,000. In another story that makes me feel really poor, we have this 9-gram feather that was apparently sold at auction for $28,365. And you might be wondering why a feather could even cost this much. Well, apparently it comes from a huya bird native to New Zealand. And get this, it's apparently been extinct since the early 1900s. Actually, this makes it a lot more impressive in my book. The huya bird is iconic in New Zealand, and the feather is in such good condition with rich colors and no damage from insects. Actually, very cool. I don't even know how they found it if it's been extinct for more than 100 years, but impressive, I guess. But what do you think? Do you think you would pay $30,000 for a feather? Even if it was a house, I don't have that money, so don't ask me. Let us know in the comments below. Which brings us to story number 8. This crypto scam was caught live on camera. We know that scams are getting more and more common these days, with elderly folk being one of the most vulnerable to them. But this body cam footage from a cop just shows how easily these scammers can take away your life savings. Check it out.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Please, I have to...
The cop got a hold of her phone before she was done and hopefully stopped any money from getting into the scammer's hands. The 85-year-old victim said the caller said she was being hacked and that she needed to put her money into the new Bitcoin ATMs to keep the savings safe. And she admitted to the interviewer that it sounded crazy and that only gullible people would have fallen for it, but in her panicked state, she just believed anything and just went on with it. Man, scammers, they're one of the most evil people on earth. They should all disappear.
Hello, how are you? I'm under the water. Please help me. Here too much raining.
And I'm happy this cop was able to stop it before it got any worse. Also, these new Bitcoin ATMs have been popping up everywhere. Well, they're being used for a lot of illegal activity, so those need to be regulated a little bit better. But what do you think? Have you ever been scammed before? I certainly have, but it was for a pair of shoes and it was back in 2011. So, a long time ago. But speaking of different, if you thought you were prepared for Halloween, well, you haven't met Halloween Herm. This guy named Halloween Herm has apparently been decorating his house for decades now, and this year he's aiming for the world record with 300 different props in his house display. Just take a look at it. He said his mother started this tradition. She would set up the house and the whole neighborhood would come together to take a look at it. And now that she's passed, he's carrying the torch and using this Halloween display as a fundraiser for the Kentucky Children's Advocacy Center. We could all use a fun neighbor like this guy, Halloween Herm. And Octobers would be a lot more fun. I probably would be having fun visiting that house and not just hiding in my room because I'm scared of all the horror stories. And skeletons and ghosts. But that's not important. Congratulations, Herm. We love what you're doing for charity. But what do you think? Would you decorate your Halloween home or would you visit this one? It does look like a lot of fun. But speaking of things that look like a lot of fun, we have story number 10. This apartment building in China looks like a real-life dollhouse. This viral video on TikTok from Jimmy Visits World is blowing up because of this crazy apartment building in Chengdu, China with 1,000 units. Take a look. It has an open design, and seeing it from a flat perspective really does make it look like you slice an apartment building in half to see what's inside. But that just goes to show that urban architecture in China is some of the most interesting in the world, with people amazed at the density and different levels of walkable infrastructure there is, like in this video of Chongqing City. Man, that's insane. It literally looks like a sci-fi world. But one question I think everyone should be asking is, how do you use Google Maps there? Because I think you'd get really lost really quick. But what do you think? Would you ever visit cities like this? Let us know in the comments below. But there's one thing you have to know before you go on and type your long comment about how much you love this video. You, dear viewer, have reached the end of this video, and I think that's a milestone worth celebrating. Thank you so much for spending your very valuable, very precious time here with us, and it means a whole lot to us. You don't understand. Everyone clap it up for the viewers who reached the end. Thank you very much. We try our best here at Odd News Weekly to give you the best news all over the internet, and it would really help us out a lot if you hit the like, subscribe, notification bell button, and leave a comment so we can start talking and have a community started down there in the comments. It really helps our channel grow, and it helps you not miss out on any more episodes, because next week we're coming back with another one hot and fresh just for you. So I hope I see you all next week, and that's all from me, Brick, your host here at Odd News Weekly. And remember, friends, stay odd. Bye!